Hey guys, it's Jamey, welcome back. I've been using both these HomePod minis for the past week or so, and I wanted to do a follow-up video from my unboxing to just talk about the things I like about them, things I don't like, and just my overall impressions and review of the device and how it's been using them on a day-to-day basis. As always, when you're watching the video, if you could just give it a quick like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel to catch more content like this. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the design of the device. So this is going to apply with both the white and the space gray model. When I think about the overall design, Apple just knocked it out of the park. I think that the form factor is perfect. It has like the nice blend of being elegant but also somewhat cool at the same time. And whether you go white or space gray, you can really find a way for it to just blend into your overall decor. So I found that I've been using the white one more in like the kitchen area just because the countertop and everything kind of around the walls, it's all white, so it really blends in nicely. With the space gray, I've had it on my TV stand, and this works out really well because everything around there is either black or gray. I did complain about the setup of having the white power brick with the black power cord. In this setting, because I've had it behind my TV stand, you haven't been able to see this. This would have been much more annoying if this was out in the open. With the design, I think that the smaller form factor works out really nicely because you can really just place this anywhere. It's not like other speakers where they are so big that you're trying to like figure out a way in which you can place this accordingly. For the most part, you're just bound by where your outlets are and if you have something that you want to actually stand this on. Another thing that I had mentioned in my initial unboxing, initial take, especially when looking at the space gray color, was just this top part getting a little dusty or smudgy with interacting with the device. I found that over the week's time of using it, I very, very rarely ever went and touched it. So that's not really a concern at all that I have anymore, just because for me personally, I never really touch the top of this at all. So whether you go with the white or the space gray, this aspect is not something that I think should be a factor of which color you want to go with. I think that when looking at which color ultimately you want to choose, I would focus it surrounding like my specific decor and design aesthetic. When looking at sound quality, I would never consider myself an audiophile, so being able to discern differences between audio quality from one speaker to the next, I think is very difficult unless if it's blatantly obvious. I think you can tell more about like loudness and really like drastic differences if you're taking like what would be considered like a much lesser quality speaker. Overall, the sound quality is very impressive, especially when you consider like the small form factor. I found the basses to be very heavy and deep. I think it was very clear. I don't think the fact that it's not able to get super loud is really a knock on it. You have to be understanding and reasonable when considering how much sound you can actually pump out of a device that is this small. When looking at the actual use case of the device, it's not supposed to be this, big booming sound filling speaker. I mean, if that's what you want, you can go to the HomePod or just any other, larger speakers. For what the HomePod mini really is, I think the sound quality is perfect. I think it's going to exceed a lot of people's expectations when you look at the overall size. So that's looking at both how loud it can get and the overall quality as a whole. So the next thing I want to touch on is Siri and the overall like voice control aspect of the speaker. I know some people have certain issues with Siri because it's not as broad as some of the other smart speakers that are out there, and so there are certain limitations. I'll be honest, I've never been like a big Siri person. I don't even think I have it set up on my iPhone, but I thought that there could be some cool advantages when using it with a speaker, and so I did try it out a little bit initially when I had set it up. I think that for someone that doesn't routinely use Siri or any of those Siri built-in capabilities, it's kind of hard to do that fundamental shift in saying that I'm not going to implement that. Not to say that there is no advantage to it. I think it just depends upon if that is something that you use on a day-to-day basis. If you're someone that is using the Siri functionality on your phone routinely, then I think that this shift onto a speaker is going to be much more naturally. For myself, I didn't find that to be the case. I was hoping that after seeing and using the functionality initially that I would just naturally start to gravitate toward doing it. I was impressed by the fact that I could be in a completely different room and ask Siri to do something, and she would be able to listen and perform that action accordingly. Another function that I want to talk about is being able to take your phone and just tap it next to the speaker to transfer your music. They talk about that as being like a very cool and useful feature. I did it one time. I mean, it's not very often where I'm in an instance that I'm listening on something on my phone, I want to transfer it, and I want to walk over to the speaker and touch it. I think it's very cool, interesting technology, but from a use case on a day-to-day basis, I never found myself utilizing that. So one thing I wanted to touch on are just a couple of areas of improvement that I thought that could really, for me, take this device and make it that much better. The first thing would be this whole aspect on the top. I know that it's kind of cool in the sense that when it is on or you're talking to Siri, you're going to get color changing on the light. That's interesting, and you do have the capability to interact with the device by touching the buttons on the top. I think that each of those things are cool, but I found that I'm not interacting with the device in that way anyways. So if you could actually just remove this, and the device would be much more durable, so you could have it in an area like a bathroom or next to your kitchen sink where it can get wet, get splashed on, and you don't have to worry about causing any issues. I would much more prefer that as opposed to having this piece on top. Another improvement that I think would be super cool with this device is that if you can make this detachable. So if you just had USB-C on both ends, and when you wanted to make this more portable, you just removed the USB-C and it became just an overall Bluetooth speaker so you would probably lose the Siri capability. I think that would just increase the overall functionality, because there's a lot of times where you want something of this size. So if you went down to the pool and you wanted to bring a speaker, it'd be cool to just be able to unplug this guy and then bring it down to the pool with you. And so you lose out on the functionality of having Siri, but you still get to keep this very portable, nice sounding speaker, so you don't have to have multiple speakers depending upon the scenario. I don't know if it's at all possible, but I think it'd be a great advantage. You could also make it so it's chargeable. So similar to if you have an Apple TV with the Apple TV remote, granted it's a much smaller device, but that thing can sit on standby for, it seems like a month at a time before you actually have to charge it. So if you could do something similar in that fashion, I think that would be really awesome as well. But I just find having this cord is just very limiting. Overall, I think the HomePod Mini it's a fantastic device. I think that for a lot of people, this will be a perfect speaker for them. For my certain situation in my use case, I'm in a smaller one-bedroom apartment. I don't need to have these things all over the place. For the most part, I can have one speaker in the entire apartment and I can hear that music everywhere. So right now I have a speaker in the bathroom, and then I also have a Sonos soundbar at my TV. So having another speaker would somewhat be a waste. I wanted to find an excuse to keep one of these, but I just couldn't justify it. I don't like to have unnecessary things laying around. It's just more clutter to me. If I did find that I was using it more and more as the days went on, then I could justify it. I do think this would be a great gift for a lot of people. At $99, it still is a relatively expensive gift, but what you're getting for that price point, I think is very difficult to match. So that's my take on the HomePod Mini. I hope that you guys found it helpful. If you have any questions, please comment below. Also, remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel. I'll catch you guys in the next one.